folks, once again, we're at the Lakeshore Cafe, 3257 Lakeshore, and this time with my buddy John Macleay.
How you doing?
Who is the unofficial head of the Oakland Green Party, and the man who pretty much handpicked Shake Anderson to run for. No, you didn't.
No,
all right.
Not at all.
Excuse me. Wrong about that. How did it come to pass that Shake Anderson became endorsed by the Green Party as a candidate?
Well, I'm not the head of the Green Party.
Right. But there is no head. Right.
Well, the Oakland Greens are a club of the Alameda County Greens. And there's a council that runs that, and I'm not on that council. Let's say I'm an influential Green, but mostly for policy, not for operations. Oakland has a outreach committee, and it was members of the outreach committee that worked with Shake. They worked with Shake during Occupy. And Shake and a few other people whose names I won't mention stepped forward and talked about becoming candidates. The only thing that we did was just put out the word that we're looking for candidates to run in this next election. And Shake volunteered himself, and the outreach committee brought him in.
Let me ask a question I've never asked before. What does it mean to be a Green?
To be an actual Green?
Yeah.
I would say we're a left environmentalist party, just like the name sounds. Most of us have strong environmental background somewhere, and most of us have strong left leanings somewhere, and a lot of us are both. Personally, I used to work in small-scale hydro. I used to do on-the-ground forestry work, and I'm an active environmentalist that way.
Although now you have...
I work for David Brower.
And now you have, and I'm just giving a plug for him, an excellent computer repair, diagnostic, and networking organization.
Mostly networking. We're network engineers.
And the name of which is?
East Bay Computer Services.
Which your website is?
eastbaycomputerservices.com.
Right. Now, folks, I ask you, particularly if you live in Oakland, keep it in Oakland, you have a computer problem, call this man, go to his website, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving forward.
So the Greens locally are, like most political groups, it's the retirees who have the time for it. A lot of them have a labor background. Maybe they were in a leftist organization in the 60s and 70s. And like I said, it's that combination of social justice, environmental reform that kind of holds us together. And the Greens are a big tent party. Some people are socialist-minded, like myself. I'm definitely a social democrat. And some people are more capitalist, market-minded. Some people are religious, some people are not religious. It's a much more open-minded, big tent organization than your classic, like, socialist organizers or, that kind of group.
So, in this, how would you assess Shake's candidacy? What's he all about from your perspective? What makes him the ideal?
Oh, I'm not sure he's the ideal.
Okay.
But I'll stick by him. He's our guy, and he's willing to make the effort. I think he has a lot to learn.
Like what?
Like how to handle himself in front of the media.
Yeah.
Like how to present his ideas in writing as well as he puts them speaking. We were very enamored with him at Occupy. Shake really had an ability to stand up to a large crowd of Oaklanders and make himself extremely clear. He seems to have a lot more trouble to stand up to Facebook and type in 2 paragraphs that are so eloquent.
I'm sorry, that's funny, I'm sorry.
Well, he's a good guy. He comes from a good place. He's a long-time Oaklander. And the Greens are very interested in developing leaders. We need leaders from the community. He wants to make this statement. He wants to work. He wants to get more black and brown youth registered to vote, which to us is extremely important. And he's willing to put in the work. So
it almost now seems to beg a question, which is, why not run more than one Green?
Oh, we're trying to. And we have one person who is very, very qualified for school board. We're going to try to run him for school board. We're just trying to figure out how and in what district.
So you're not ready to name the name yet?
I would rather not.
Of course.
And we're also trying to talk another person into running for one of the districts. Our last election, we ran 3 candidates in 3 different elections, and we got 7% across the board.
Yeah.
Not bad. You know, 2 elections ago, I only got what, 3%? You know, so we're working and we're trying
I thought Teresa was a great candidate.
I did too.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we can talk her into being candidate for council in 2016.
Is she amenable to that, you think?
I would hope so. I would hope so. She's
got a lot of great qualities, I think.
and she responded to that well. She is now in school.
Nice.
Getting a degree in public administration.
Awesome. Wonder why public administration.
Yes. So
very good. Very
and
good.
Sheikh is of that same caliber.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm really hoping that this is going to lead to more people of his generation,
Sure.
and frankly of his race,
right,
to participate.
Sure.
One of the major
He's
things.
black.
He's
Yeah.
black.
Right.
And there are not enough young African Americans from the community.
And I might
involved.
add, unlike Emily's List, there's no organization that recruits and trains black candidates for political office.
That's true.
Emily's List does it for women.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
And
help
you
with
would
a
think
thing.
with
I
as
would
many-
help with a thing like
Yeah,
that.
me too. And you would think as many black candidates and black politicians as there have been, that there would be that kind of organization, right?
And there are things from Central La Raza.
See?
You know,
For
there's things
Latino.
for Latinos.
Right.
But, you know, and I think a lot of the reality of life, people who come from working class black families with, you know, chronic unemployment, historical unemployment, and Sheikh is from that part of the world.
Yeah. Well, so am I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to make a jump. You know, I'm a working class guy. I was a machinist. And, you know, I went back to school and I got my degree at Laney.
I
Went
think
on to
there's a
state.
bit more to it. I think, you know, this gets a little bit into my history, which I don't want to take the time doing. We can do it for another time, but I'll just say briefly, the way I was brought up was to not be afraid to think in a way that historically some of the blacks have said was white. Okay?
Yeah.
That is the big deal.
What my wife calls having white privilege.
Well, yeah, but the whole point is, I'll call it what you will, feeling entitled. The bottom line is I call it intellectual confidence. And if you carry yourself with that intellectual confidence, a lot of barriers will break down for you. But the problem today with African Americans, as I see it, is we don't have that confidence as much as we should, given the opportunities that exist today. Okay. Now,
let me say something.
The whole point is to break them
I'm
down.
going to say something might get me in trouble with my Greens again.
All right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that sense of entitlement.
I don't either. There's nothing wrong with it.
Generations before us got us that right to vote.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Right.
The problem is that young black and brown people don't feel that sense of entitlement. They don't feel that sense of entitlement. They don't feel the sense of entitlement to participate. They don't even feel it
Unless
to vote.
they're in the South, though. The Southern,
Well, they paid a higher price.
and so the culture is more adjusted to someone black coming out and saying, I'm not going to let voting rights, takedown happen to me. But in the West Coast, blacks in the West Coast are weak.
Yeah. Well, you and I both go to the South with
weak.
family there
Right.
on a regular basis. I rarely see in the rural South the type of poverty I see here in Oakland. I don't know what the numbers are, but I know that,
Did you say the poverty here is worse than in the South?
in some places.
Okay.
And I would say that a person who's poor in a rural area in the South still has resources in family, resources and things that you can do to survive, even if you don't have a 9-to-5 job. Honorable things to do.
Right.
Farming is an honorable thing to do, right?
Dishwashing.
And there's that kind of thing, like you're on the outs, we're going to get you something to do, we'll make sure you have a place to live, that you're fed.
Right.
That sense of community is really strong,
That's
especially among African Americans.
Yeah. Less so here.
Very much less so, and the need is...
In general.
The need is crushing.
Right.
I mean, we have... What percentage of young black men do you think have a job right now in Oakland?
In Oakland?
Half?
No, I would say it's about 60%.
60%?
Yeah.
40% unemployment?
I would say if you consider being employed all the way down to like 17, yeah.
Okay, well...
If you say 21 and up?
Egypt had a revolution for less than that.
Well, if you say 21 and up, I would say it's more like 75%
Employed.
Right.
That's still 25%.
But here's the point. Yeah, that's right. But the whole point is that the question for me is really a question underemployment, not just unemployment. It's not a matter of just to stick somebody on a golf course and say you're employed.
Sure.
Okay? It's, are you making a gainful living wage?
And does it have any future for you?
Yeah, exactly. A future.
You know?
Programming has a future. You know, anybody can learn the program. The trouble is that a lot of people think they can learn the program, but you can learn the program. Coding is easy.
Okay. I grew up in a situation where the government offered me things that we don't get offered here.
Like what?
Like an education. So I worked
That's true.
in a plastics factory. I made plastic bags, I rolled banisters onto coils, I helped make artificial wood for Volkswagens, I made refrigerator gaskets, I smelled like polyethylene at the end of my day, right?
Right.
And I went to school in a government-sponsored project. So my dead-end job was not a dead end for me personally. The government gave me vocational training. Not in anything I wanted, they gave me vocational training in things that they had a need for.
Okay, so now
That's how I became a machinist.
back to Oakland politics.
Well, and people say, why don't I run for school board?
Why don't I run
Since
for,
I'm always talking
why
about
don't you run for mayor for what will be a third time, right?
second time.
Second time.
Two good reasons.
Okay.
One is I really want, and everybody in the Greens, we want to build the team. We're trying to build a team and a group of people who have had the experience of running for office. I've now done it 2 elections in a row, once for mayor and once for council. And we did better. The second time we did better. This time we're going to try to do better again. We're hoping to have 2-3 candidates. And I think it's really good not to have a perennial candidate. So
Why?
that would, well, for one,
I mean, the Democrats are perennial candidates, and so the Republicans. Why not Green?
well, and with their results, right? We're trying to build an alternative for Oakland. We want to see the working class people of Oakland participate more in the process. And just running this, middle class, middle-aged white radical over and over again, I don't think answers that. I think we need different...
Talk about yourself.
Yes. And I think we need different leadership who can get in there, who's from these neighborhoods that traditionally do not participate.
But let's go down the line. I mean, okay, Randy, how do you pronounce his last name?
Mendoza.
To me, wasn't a great candidate. He's out. Shake is an okay candidate. He's in.
I'm hoping for better from Shake as he goes along.
Yeah, that's why I say he's. But,
You remember how bad I was at first,
yeah, but you got better.
and I'm hoping
What you
he'll get
had
better.
that the other,
And I plan to help him.
What you had that Randy didn't have was the desire to learn. Okay, and you took advice and you adjusted
From you, among other people.
among other people.
Yeah.
But you adjusted on the fly. You really did because you
Sure.
wanted it. All right, and that Don is a lesson to anybody out there running. Your first job is to listen. This man listens very well. So my point is that you listen.
Well, then maybe we should be teaching Shake to listen.
But my point is, why take the time to have these training ground? Why not just have some winners and then have people who are your apprentices under the winner? Just go out and win a few. Win a few and get recognition and then draw them in. Why not that?
It's a point. I would have to have more individual time to do that.
Yeah.
I think the reality of it is I can help our candidates. I can be the support for them.
Yeah.
And I can deliver messages like what you just said. I'm a friend with Shake. I
Yeah.
can talk to him. I think he's much more open-minded than he lets on.
Okay, now pretend that I'm Shake and you're talking to me right now. What do you want to see me do? Like tomorrow.
Get out there. Put yourself out in harm's way more.
What do you mean harm's way?
Talk in public, go to public meetings. I would, as soon as the weather turns better, I would say let's start going door to door in the voter registration campaign.
Well, he'll say, wait
Listen
a minute.
to what the public has to say.
Guardian. What are you talking about?
Well, I just don't think that's enough, and I tend to agree with you.
I would say nobody reads the Bay Guardian anymore.
Right,
But anyway.
no, but the contact with the public
Right.
is the most educational thing that can happen to you when you get involved in politics.
Right.
And there's time. I mean, the official registration isn't even until June. And I think there's time for him to learn the ropes and make some mistakes and get out there and, it's an on-the-job training kind of thing.
Does he have a website yet?
I believe so.
Okay.
But, he's very social media Savvy. That's part of what he did for Occupy.
Okay.
The other thing I would say to Sheikh is, always stand where you're strong. I was joking about him that he doesn't have a good written presence.
Right.
He's got a good speaking presence. So use it. Tape yourself. Speak in public.
YouTube.
Yeah. Put yourself on
YouTube videos.
Yeah, put yourself on YouTube.
Right.
Go out there and talk to people and have somebody like me film it.
Make 15-second videos using Vidoko or Tap.
But also, if anytime you do anything, and I would say this not just for politics, but anything you did, always start from your position of strength. And Sheikh is a good communicator speaking to a group of people.
And I would also say this, my advice would be, don't attack people on social media like your predecessor, Randy, did. Out of the blue. That was
both
bad.
of them made that mistake.
Bad form. Bad form.
Now, you want to say part of the difference between me and them?
Yeah.
I'm old. Yeah. I'm much older.
Yeah.
Right? I'll be 56 next month.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I also have a background, I don't know if you know this, but I've been a combat vet.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. And that kind of shakes you out. Things don't rattle you too much after that. Everything else kind of pales in comparison.
Right.
And I make jokes about it. But, people who are older and who messed
What branch
up.
did you serve?
I did not serve for the United States.
Canada.
Nope. I was in the Nicaraguan Territorial Militia.
Oh.
Which used to be like a weekend warrior kind of thing until the United States started backing a group of people called the Contras.
So you're fighting against the United States?
I was fighting against the Contras.
Wow.
The United States did not admit to being the Contras, and the Contras didn't admit to being the United States.
I was under the impression that we were financing the Contras through drugs.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I was there when Hassan Fuz was shot down. But anyways, we're off topic.
Right.
What I'm saying is like an older person...
That's another video.
Yeah, a person who's been a police officer, served in the armed forces, stuff like that, they get shaken out a bit, right? To say a pun, right? And that is the one thing that Sheikh has. Sheikh has been in the military, and he's been around.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that as the process goes on, he'll start to learn how he's getting his message out successfully and when he's not, and he'll adapt. And I'll sit down. I'll be there
So
to help
what do
him.
you say to a viewer who may see this 2 months after and has seen a different Sheikh Anderson and now is seeing this and seeing this criticism?
Well, we all have to be responsible for what we do, and it's not a show. I know that it comes across to the public as just another media show, and that most politicians, all you're going to get is vote marketing and talking heads and basically a TV show. It's not a show. The reason for a candidacy like Sheikh Anderson has to do with serious inequalities among the people of Oakland. The people that don't vote, the people that don't graduate high school, the people that don't have jobs, right?
Yep.
Our environmental and economic problems are closely tied with social inequities.
Yep.
And that's what matters. So when people are actually thinking, how well did you come off on YouTube? How important is that compared to what would that vote for that person mean for the future of the city?
Right.
And that's what people should be thinking about. And I'll be standing up and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stand up and spread that message. And I firmly believe that Oakland needs a counterweight. Minority groups, and the Greens will probably only ever be a minority group in Oakland, but a well-organized minority group that expresses its opinion and has a political price for their support can make changes, can insist on changes. We can say, okay, we'll work with the government if they do X or Y. But you have to organize yourself well, you have to display yourself well, and you have to take a percentage of the vote.
And on that note, I know you gotta go. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
You too.